Hi, I'm Bob, the product manager for Brother QL Label Printers. Today we're going to talk to you about the iOS SDK we have. First, we're going to go in and talk about once you download the SDK, the latest version is 3.1.0. And once you download it, we have the file folder structure here. There's a manual section, and then there's the libraries that are here available. And then we also have the sample applications, and then we'll be talking to you more about the actual sample application today in a little bit more detail to go over exactly how the code is laid out and how to interface with the QL label printers. So first we'll take a look at the manual for the iOS SDK. And basically here we're going to just go on to the first part is the folder configuration part here. And as I mentioned, we have libraries that are there. There actually are two libraries that are available. So one is the BR P-Touch Printer Kit W framework, which is only if you're going to interface with Wi-Fi printers. Then you should utilize that one. The other one is the full version of the framework, which includes the Bluetooth section for MFI supported printers as well. That is the BR P-Touch Printer Kit framework. That one will, again, allow you to connect to MFI printers just like the Brother QL 820 NWB, which has Bluetooth connectivity. Once you do connect with that particular framework, there is a submission process that you will have to go through, which we'll explain later. Open up the sample application here that we have, SDK sample app version 2. And basically we're just going to take a look through the main part of it for the project and look at the general section here. And as you can see down at the bottom here, where it is the linked frameworks and libraries, we make sure that one of the two libraries are from the P-Touch part is added, which is the BR P-Touch Printer Kit framework. So we added this for both support for Wi-Fi printers and Bluetooth printers. Next, a couple of things just to keep in mind when you are doing this and adding this to your own application is to make sure that once you add it, if we look at the paths and we look at the path part for the framework search path and the header search path, these two must point into the framework directory, as you can see here, into the libs folder, and then also into printing into the framework part for the headers. This is so that when it compiles, it's able to find all the files for the application. So we're going to run the application here, and then I'll explain kind of how it's laid out in the code in the sample application. So if we go to product and we click on run, this will start the simulator, and we'll take a look at the actual sample application. So for the sample application, we have a print button here, which allows us to print images and PDFs, which we'll pick. Basically here we have the picking an image and picking a PDF, and then we have the ability for it to find Wi-Fi printers and Bluetooth printers. And then we could also set the settings for the printer itself. So we'll go through this section and we'll just pick an image. I have some images already predefined on this printer. There's our image. And currently right now I am directly connected to the Brother QL 820 NWB using wireless direct connection, as you see here. So it is able to already find that printer. And then if we just go through the settings, some of the settings you want to make sure of on here is to make sure that under the paper size that we set the paper size to the exact roll that is in the printer. You can see from the list here, it already filters out the list based on the model that you have. In this case, we are using the DK2251, which is the red and black roll to allow us to print red and black labels. The next part is picking our orientation size, so portrait or landscape. In this case, we're using portrait. And the scale mode is important in that depending on how big your image is compared to the label, if you pick fit, that will automatically allow the SDK to shrink or grow the image to fit the label size that's in the machine. If you pick original and the file size is bigger than what the label can print that's in the machine, then it will return an error and be unable to print. One thing to note in this is the printer is a 300 dpi printer. So when you factor in your image and what the pixel sizes is for the image, you should multiply each inch that the label is by 300. So if you're doing a 2-inch wide label by 3 inches, you want to multiply the 2-inch wide by 300, so it should be 600 by about 900 in the image size when you send it down to the printer. This will give you the best quality of the print. So we want to make sure of that. And the last part that we want to check on is the actual cutting at the end. So we have two options here. The auto cut, we want to turn that on. This will allow the printer, after it prints, to automatically cut the label. You can choose not to do that, and then somebody would actually have to hit the cut button to print the label off. So those are all the features that we need to set before actually printing this image. And as I mentioned here, we'll just go over quickly of what exactly is going to happen here. So if we look at the way the code is segmented, we have an image print view, which is this part here, to allow us to select the image and has the code in there to do that part of it. Then we have the two search buttons here for the Wi-Fi. This is the code here that allows it to do the searching for the printers on the Wi-Fi network. And then we have a Bluetooth section here, which shows you the code to be able to search for Bluetooth printers. And then lastly, when we actually do the print command, there are two sections for the print command. We have the wireless print options, which we're looking at here. So this basically is the command that once we hit this print button, it's going to come through this code here and actually send the image to the printer. We'll take a little bit look at this in a little bit more detail in a second. But right now I'll show you how it is able to print out this label. So we go down to the bottom here and we click the print button. And then out comes our label printed. Then we'll just go up to the top here, we'll click done, and then we're back to the main part of the application for printing. So I'm just going to close this for 1 second. We're going to put it into debug mode. So I wanted to show one thing that we added in this part, which is to get status. You may want to get status from the printer first so that you could avoid some issues of the wrong paper size being in the printer, or if the cover's open, we can make a call to the printer to get that status back first, address those information, and then provide that back to the user before printing happens. So we're just going to run this in and then we're just going to look at this statement here for getting the status back. Click on print, we pick the image again. hit the print button, we're going to stop at this part here. So at this part here, we're going to get back, we're going to make a call to get the printer status. So now that we're back, we have the printer status request that we had sent, and we can look here and see the information that came back to us from the printer. So we see here there's a structure of information, 32 bytes worth of data that's here. And what we can basically do is we'll utilize this data, and the way to look at this is to utilize what we have as the raster command reference. This will tell us that what exactly that structure, what is in that structure and how it's laid out. So this is the raster command reference for the new QL800 series. We'll take a look at this. We'll just go to the menu here for the status command, which is right here. And this will provide us the table to look at what actual information is in there. So when we just, whoops, bring this up, we'll just move this down here. And if we take a look here, we see the 80, which is a fixed value. Then next we have the 20 hex for the size, and then we have the B, which tells us it's reserved, what series it is. We see it as a 4. And then now we're going to check what model it is, and we see that the model is an A. So we look here at the model A, it is the Brother QL820 NWB. Based on the rest of this information, we can get error information from the machine. We can also get the media type and width. Those are referred to on the table below. We can also get the status type, and then also in we get the error messages here that's decoded. Then we have all of this other information down here. The media width tells us whether it's continuous, so the media length will always be 0 if it's continuous rolls. And for die cut, it'll have both the media width and also the length defined. And that will tell us, designate the roll that's there. So again, we'll just step through the rest of this part of the code here, and it'll print out the label. But that was just to show you how you can add in the status to get that information. At this particular point, we can check and verify that before it actually does the printing part, verify that we have the right roll in the machine, or prompt the user with a message to put in the correct roll before we get an error. That was a basic overview of the iOS SDK. If you have any questions, you can email us at sdksupport@brother.com.